Okay, we've leveled up and it is time to pick another language. Molfare tröttare än vanligt. Maten är färdig. And let's see what we're doing when we get back. Greek. We're doing Greek when we get back. Benedese. Herregud kullanmayı. Fun fact. Turkish. Hello, Shakespeare. How you doing? Fun fact, in Spanish, the word for bishop in chess is alfil. And that actually comes from Arabic. Fil. The same word fil as this. Meaning elephant, because the bishop traditionally was to represent elephant units somehow. Similarly, in Russian, the word for bishop is squab, and that also means elephant. Ça, c'est ça, que c'est ça, non ça, c'est ça. Sol chi sa che nulla sa, ne sa più di chi ne sa. Ecco. Bonjour et bienvenue à Hyper Polyglotting avec Élise. Moi, c'est Élise, traductrice, éditrice et écrivain avec 20 ans de travail. Et ça, c'est la transmission en direct ou en jeu des jeux, surtout GeoGuessr en dernier temps. Et parle des langues, de la linguistique, de l'acquisition des langues. 10-159. Haven't made a huge dent in it, but we're getting there. Okay, gonna do some Chinese now. Night. Night. None. Yen. Yo. 5. Ducks are drinking wine. Barbas eat. Barba, okay, Barbas is duck. Okay, I have now leveled up. Let's see what the XP situation is now. 10,340 out of 12,500. And as always, viewers can choose my next language for me just with a follow and a $5 to my Patreon. Sotto le frasche del capanno 4 gatti grossi stanno. Sotto 4 grossi sassi, 4 grossi e grassi gatti. Un généreux déjeuner régénéré, des généraux dégénérés. Un généreux déjeuner régénéré, des généraux dégénérés. Facile. Sì, ecco, la gente... è la cosa che mi dice la gente, sempre che scoprisce che quante lingue parlo. Io sempre avevo l'impressione, diciamo, di che non era così, non era tan così, ma poi dopo di aver visto qualche poliglota in YouTube, una delle cose che avevo scoperte era giustamente che la metodologia usata da quella gente poliglota che non avevo mai conosciuta prima, era più o meno la stessa metodologia che usavo io. I buy a computer or what? And here's another example. I like to point these out. For this word for or sounds vaguely like Hogun and the hok in Hogun in Korean or waku in Japanese, and that appears it is the exact same kind of character.
Okay, let me see.
Un chasseur, ça change chasser. Ses chassés sont son chien de chasse.
Der dicke Dach.
Okay, der dicke Dachdecker deckt dir dein Dach, drum dank dem dicken Dachdecker, dass der dicke Dachdecker dir dein Dach deckt.
Hola y bienvenidos al directo de Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. Yo soy Elisa, traductora, escritora y editora y comunicadora social con más de 20 idiomas de trabajo. Y aquí vamos a estar jugando videojuegos, sobre todo GeoGuessr, y hablando de idiomas, la mejor forma de aprenderlo y caleta más. Zwei Zwetschgenzweigen zwitscherten zwei tschechische Schwalben. Tres tristes tigres tragaban trigo en un trigal en tres tristes trastos.
Oh, I see. This says Diche Ishai Boy, which means do you want food? But yeah, are you hungry? That's also funny. How are the boys? Cocine da boy. Posso Milao. Pote. Buenese. Proteine. Utros. Protopolo. In the designated chicken eating area, obviously.
Okay, still 3 times I have to defeat him. And I don't have a whole lot of health left.
Livre. Messier.
See.
Livre. Liwe, livre.
Paks,
Mustan kissan paksut posket.
Matjeje,
Yeah.
ja, si, vysoký. Matjeje. Proč? Víte. Počkej. A. Si. Track 6.
Aspri petrax es aspri aptoniliox ex asproteri. Aspri petrax es aspri apton iliox es asproteri.
Coginio panas.
Oh boy.
Ad ferad verda ferda vetri.
Jacob.
Hefed.
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 Hefed. Hefed. Hek. 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 Саша по шоссе.
А Саша по шоссе несла сушку на счастье и сосала сушку. А Саша по шоссе несла сушку на счастье и сосала сушку.
Малина.
This is Arabic. And it's from Mu'allim.
Juma ni mwalimu mke. Trakt.
Ирак чима в чипах чемп чавю ченчи чини. Чирак чима в чипа да, чирак чима в чипцах чемп чавю ченчи чини. Акакит альшит. Хикрин. Акакит альши хикрин. Акакит альши хикринепс.
Oh, thanks to cat sons. Meow and the pictures of the fish. That's they were proud.
Sööpel. Kupu. Yrittävät. Puraista. Omena.
Are in the city center.
And it's got some interesting aspects to it.
여자는
I mean,
어느 나라에 있습니까? 여자는 어느 나라에 있습니까? 여자는 어느 나라에 있습니까?
countries or living things.
Ani no namae wa
Lo que pasa es que bueno, la manera, y esto se ve en tantos lugares, no es cuestión regional, sino más bien de un problema fundamental de la pedagogía oficial de los idiomas extranjeros, y que la manera en que se enseñan en tantos lugares, en las clases, en el colegio, no tiene nada que ver con el estado actual de la investigación sobre lo que se llama adquisición de idioma.
Doesn't, you can try something else.
In fact, I would say often you really know you're getting it with languages if you can't really explain why something's right, but you just bloody well know it's right.
Hi, and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. I am Elise, translator, editor, and writer with 20 working languages, and this is where we talk about languages and language learning and all sorts of other stuff, and we play games. Всем привет и добро пожаловать на Hyperpolyglotting с Элизой. Я это Элиза. И занимаюсь переводом, редакцией, писанием на 20 языках. Hi and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. I'm Elise, a translator, writer, and editor with 20 working languages, and this is where we're going to be talking about, well, we're going to be playing GeoGuessr and talking about languages and the best ways to learn them. And you can, in chat, feel free to use whatever language you're comfortable with. There is a reasonable chance, ilta, that I know it. Mitä kuuluu? Aloitetaan. Missä GeoGuessr? Okei, classica carta. Herald. Maailma. Okay. First of all, we hear, wait. Complex. Ilya. Okay, someplace Russian speaking. Какой-то комплекс. Хбилья. Okay. Oh, interesting looking emoticon, whatever. Is that a cat with an apple? Memmi on musta. Окей. Что это нам скажет? Продаж автомобиля. Okay, this is Ukrainian. Okay. That at least means that it's a smaller territory to be working with. Russia is always a pain in the ass on GeoGuessr. Okay. Actually, I don't know if we've... no, I think maybe once or twice had Ukrainian places on here. Azay... Автозапчасть, инжектор, Нива, Тайга, Кедр, Chevrolet. Okay. Let's say. Okay, a hotel called Hetman. Could this be Kiev? Ever drop? See. Not entirely city. Чехия. Улица Антон. Some major Ukrainian city. That much is clear. Oh, hang on. City buses. City buses are. Mitä meille ilmoittavat nämä bussit? Eivät ilmoittaa mitään. Pian. There's got to be something that actually gives me this name here. Izia Confortu. E Centrumista. Народной архив. Собор Святого Юра. Yeah, I'm getting the feeling this is probably the capital. Or not. How many cathedrals would one city have? Okay, let's try La Cerkva Church. hoping to find this Sobor Sviato Huyura. Seeing it. Do any interesting baking lately? Let's see. Ranirino. Oh, cool. Catherine's. I'm just assuming that a place would only have one cathedral per city. Whereas to me, that's not necessarily the case. Sure. Except that in Britain, if you have a cathedral, you automatically count as a city, even when that's basically all you have. Good example of this is St. David's in Wales. Ah! Okay, there we go. Lviv. Lemberg. 49.88. Not a bad start. Okay, this feels like we're in North America. Yeah, North American style post boxes. But nope, anyone else who does them like that. And we're in the middle of nowhere. That is a place you end up a lot in North America because there's just so much of it. Oh, we got signs coming up. Dorchester. Okay, that could be Maryland. No, wait, Illinois 16 is that? Or Dorchester, Illinois? Or is that sign? I've never seen a sign quite like that. Would there be I mean, there's no reason there wouldn't be a Dorchester in Illinois. Lots of random. Yeah, no, this is definitely not a road to get on. Stay on this. Alright. That's where. Bloomington Normal. Been through there a few times, not much to it. And yeah. Annapolis. That's also Maryland place. Palestine, Illinois. Lick Creek. I think I'll give that one a How about licking creeks? So, I guess I can go into Dorchester and see if that helps. At least there's some possibility of there being a town. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm going to Dorchester. Find out where the hell Dorchester is. Let's just see. I know there's a Dorchester in Maryland. But I don't really know exactly where in Maryland it is. Oh, this image quality is absolute rubbish. It's gonna turn out this is Dorchester, and that's not going to help me a whole lot. Like, welcome to Dorchester. There is one house here. Now leaving Dorchester. It definitely could be most of Illinois. Come on. I have here. Did they not check the image quality when they're uploading this stuff and like make sure that it's in focus? Wait, is this Dorchester? It's gonna turn out this is Dorchester, and it will have been really pointless to go here. Speed limit. Okay, we are definitely in the US though. Not Canada. It says speed limit, not maximum. Okay. That was pointless. I go the other way. At least here the image quality is clear. So if we run across signs, we can actually read them, which I find is useful. I'm gonna do a quick sound check because I'm getting a thing saying that my audio bitrate is 0. Let's just make sure. Yeah, okay. I don't quite know what it means that my current audio bitrate is 0 when audio is coming through, but sometimes I've had that happen and there was no audio coming through, so I like to make sure. Lake Gillespie camping. That does not help. Never heard of Lake Gillespie. Route 16. Gillespie Labor Day Bash. Okay, this really could be Illinois 16. Let's just see. Illinois 16 takes me any place that fits in what we know here. So all we have to find Illinois 16. Probably near a body of water. There is a Lake Goofy Ridge. Really? The town called Goofy Ridge. Goofy Ridge, Illinois. Sounds great. I mean, I want to know the history of how they ended up naming a town Goofy Ridge. Oh, wait a second. Here we got what might be Illinois 16 here. Nutwood. From Goofy Ridge to Nutwood. East Gillespie. Not. And Dorchester. Got it. Yeah, Dorchester. That's all there is to Dorchester. Okay. Okay, just northeast of St. Louis. Yeah. 4998. Okay, we are definitely not in Illinois. We're in Cambodia. Yes, you're probably something. Just because I don't know what kind of coverage they actually have on Google Street View in Cambodia. I know a couple of words of Cambodia. I had to learn it. Finding resources was not easy. At the time that I attempted it. These days, it'd probably be much easier. Is that Angkor Wat? No, it is. Never really got far in learning the writing system. Part of what is causing me difficulty here. It's gone a bit dark. Are we gonna get the lights back on in here? We're traveling through a quantum singularity, apparently. Like, we have some light, please. Ah, okay, good. It's daytime again. Thank you. Getting to be a bit difficult. Wait, what? That's the I've never seen that happen on GeoGuessr where you end up in the dead of night. And it definitely wasn't underexposed because people's headlamps were on. Okay. I am just going to have a wild guess and say we're probably someplace near the capital, near Phnom Penh. And we're in the same country as Phnom Penh. 4266. Still not terrible given that a lot of that was in darkness. Okay, we've got red and white barriers. No cycling. Okay, I think probably Britain or Ireland. Possibly London, actually. That Ferris wheel over there might be the eye, or of course it might not. Look both ways. Yeah, Britain. Let's say Kensington Gardens and Palace. Hyde Park, Speaker's Corner. Yeah, okay. Yeah, London. There we go. $49.97. Okay. Round 5 of 5. I have a distinct feeling we're in Russia. Oh, maybe Poland. God damn it. I did not want to be looking directly into the pothole. Okay, so that was the wrong way to go. Samara. Yeah. Definitely feeling in Russia. Yeah. This sort of gas pipeline, I think it is, also feels distinctly Russian. Although, or Ukrainian. Could be Ukraine. Could be a few places. Russia. This truck is Russia. Snart så att sidan. Ja. Исхоз. Ремзавод. Okay, from which we learn there must be a railway station nearby. Tatarsk. Tatarsk. Okay. I would assume Tatarsk would probably be Tatarstan. Though that isn't necessarily the case. Oh. Yeah, I was a little bit off on that. Oh, but only 1,594 kilometers. Still, not a terrible result. Okay, and with that, I'm going to take a little bio break, and I will be back in just a few minutes. Hi, and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. I am Elise, translator, editor, and writer with 20 working languages, and this is where we talk about languages and language learning and all sorts of other stuff, and we play games.
Perfect. Okay, 3 of 4.
El hospital es
還元一級の先というのは本当に 誰も知らない字ばっかりでしょうね。私は、
Okay, we've leveled up, and it is time to pick another language. Mordför är tröttare än vanligt. Maten är färdig. And let's see what we're doing when we get back. Greek. We're doing Greek when we get back. Ben neredeyse her gün okula giderim. Fun fact. Turkish. Hello, Shakespeare. How you doing? Fun fact, in Spanish, the word for bishop in chess is alfil. And that actually comes from Arabic. Fil. The same word fil as this. Meaning elephant, because the bishop traditionally was to represent elephant units somehow. Similarly, in Russian, the word for bishop is sword, and that also means elephant.
ça, ça, c'est ça, que c'est ça, non ça, c'est ça. Sol chi sa che nulla sa, ne sa più di chi ne sa. Ecco.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Hyper Polyglotting avec Élise. Moi, c'est Élise, traductrice, éditrice et écrivain avec 20 ans de travail. Et ça, c'est la transmission en direct ou en jeu des jeux, surtout GeoGuessr en dernier temps. Et parle des langues, de la linguistique, de l'acquisition des langues. 10:159. Haven't made a huge dent in it, but we're getting there. Okay, gonna do some Chinese now. Night. Night. None. Yen. Yo. 5. Ducks are drinking wine. Bangba, okay, Bangbas is duck. Okay, I have now leveled up. Let's see what the XP situation is now. 10,340 out of 12,500. And as always, viewers can choose my next language for me just with a follow and a $5 to my Patreon.
Sotto le frasche del capanno 4 gatti grossi stanno. Sotto 4 grossi sassi, 4 grossi e grassi gatti. Un généreux déjeuner régénéré des généraux dégénérés. Un généreux déjeuner régénéré des généraux dégénérés. Facile. Sì, ecco, la gente... è la cosa che mi dice la gente, sempre che scoprisce che quante lingue parlo. Io sempre avevo l'impressione, diciamo, di che non era così, non era tan così, ma poi dopo di aver visto qualche poliglota in YouTube, una delle cose che avevo scoperte era giustamente che la metodologia usata da quella gente poliglota che non avevo mai conosciuta prima, era più o meno la stessa metodologia che usavo io.
I buy a computer or what? And here's another example. I like to point these out. For this word for or, but sounds vaguely like hogun and the hook in hogun in Korean or waku in Japanese, and that appears it is the exact same kind of character.
Okay, let me see.
Un chasseur, ça chante chasser. Ses chassés sont son chien de chasse.
Dicke Dach.
Okay, der dicke Dachdecker deckt dir dein Dach drum, dank dem dicken Dachdecker, dass der dicke Dachdecker dir dein Dach deckt. Hola y bienvenidos al directo de Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. Yo soy Elisa, traductora, escritora y editora y comunicadora social con más de 20 idiomas de trabajo. Y aquí vamos a estar jugando videojuegos, sobre todo GeoGuessr, y hablando de idiomas, la mejor forma de aprenderlo y caleta más. Zwei Zwetschgenzweigen zwitscherten zwei tschechische Schwalben. Tres tristes tigres tragaban trigo en un trigal en tres tristes trastos.
Oh, I see. This is Diche Ishai Fui, which means do you want food? But yeah, are you hungry? That kind of thing. How are the boys? Cocine da boya. Posso Milao. Pote. Buenese. Proteine. Udros. Protoculo. In the designated chicken eating area, obviously.
Okay, still 3 times I have to defeat him. And I don't have a whole lot of health left.
Monsieur.
See.
Livre. Liwe livla.
Paks.
Mustan kissan paksut posket.
Mathieu.
Okay. And we're gonna... Now we are back on Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. And I'm going to play another round. See about... Maybe check out a couple of videos as well. Kind of curious, this is something that was in my recommendations here. Puhutaan suomea podcast osa ensimmäisen osa 1 kielin oppiminen. Let's see how this is as Finnish comprehensible input, shall we?
Moikka kaikille! Tällä kertaa mä kokeilen tällaista itselleni vähän uutta asiaa, eli puhutaan suomea podcastia. Mä oon aikaisemmin tehnyt paljon videoita, joissa mä kerron ja opetan suomen kielen kielioppiasioita, mutta nyt mä aion kokeilla tehdä tämmöisiä podcast-jaksoja, joissa mä puhun jostain asiasta. En vielä tiedä, mistä kaikesta mä tuun puhumaan, mutta nyt tämän ensimmäisen osan aiheena on kielen oppiminen. Ja nyt kun on elokuu, niin on mun mielestä hyvä aika puhua kielen oppimisesta, kielen opiskelusta, koska kesälomat loppuu, koulut alkaa, suomen kielen kurssit alkaa ja monet menee kesätauon jälkeen takaisin opiskelemaan suomea. Ja ainakin mulla itsellä tulee aina syksyllä sellainen tosi motivoitunut ja innostunut olo. Mä aloitan mielelläni uusia harrastuksia. Mä haluan opiskella. Mä haluan luoda uusia hyviä rutiineja, käydä aamulenkillä, lukea kirjoja, siivota. Niin sen takia elokuu on hyvä aika myös vähän miettiä omia opiskelutapojaan ja miettiä, voisiko niitä opiskelutaitoja myös kehittää. Ja jos sä haluat oppia suomea, jos sä oot menossa suomen kielen kurssille ja sä mietit, että mitä mä voin tehdä tänä syksynä eri tavalla kuin ennen. Et mitä mä voin tehdä, että tällä kerralla mä opin paremmin, enemmän tai ihan vain, että on hauskempaa. Niin ihan ensimmäinen asia on tietenkin miettiä syy, sellainen motivaatio sille, miksi sä opiskelet. Et jos sä olet menossa suomen kielen kurssille, niin kannattaa miettiä, että miksi sä haluat oppia sitä suomea. Niitä syitä voi olla ihan tosi paljon.
Okay, so far, I would say for sort of intermediate learners, this is not bad. Like I don't get to actually listen to Finnish a whole lot, and I'm understanding a fair bit. For beginners, I think it might actually be a bit difficult because there isn't a visual. This definitely is something that it's whatever it is, we're directly on the water. Where am I? Kajak, Ruderverein Schnecke, Bootshaus, Burschenschafterturm. Okay, we are there. So, the lack of visuals might be difficult for beginners here. But if you already have at least some background, for an intermediate learner, I think you would probably find you fairly well. It's also, I mean, she's speaking rather slowly, which is not bad. Yeah, there is a very distinct $5,000. Perfect. Speaks very clearly and distinctly, even for total beginners, for getting used to drive in and save money on your meat bill. Neat. For just getting used to the sound of Finnish, it's probably a pretty good.
Eli jos asut Suomessa,
It's probably a good introduction.
Tietenkin suomen kielen osaaminen auttaa sua monella tavalla. On helpompaa löytää työpaikka. Voi päästä jonnekin kouluun, mihin haluaisi opiskelemaan. Voi saada Suomen kansalaisuuden, kun hän ensin selvittää keskitason ykitestin. Tai sit voi olla ihan semmoisia sosiaaliseen elämään liittyviä syitä, kuten haluat ymmärtää työkavereita kahvihuoneessa, että mitä he puhuu. Haluat haluat jutella sun ystävien kanssa
Says I find good
suomeksi,
things on
sun
here. Want to
lapsen
highlight them.
kavereiden vanhempien kanssa tai omien
That
perheenjäsenten
is
ja
in Finnish
sukulaisten kanssa.
resources.
Ehkä haluat puhua suomea. Tai sitten sä olet vaan kiinnostunut oppimaan uuden kielen. Kaikki syyt on hyviä, mutta kannattaa itselleen miettiä, itselleen kirkastaa se ajatus, että miksi haluan opiskella.
Why do I want
Koska
to
sitten
learn?
sun motivaatio pysyy koko syksyn, koko pitkän pimeän syksyn korkealla. Ja sä jaksat tehdä kotitehtäviä, sä menet innostuneena kurssille ja sä ajattelet positiivisesti siitä opiskelusta. No, sitten kun sä tiedät, että miksi sä haluat opiskella suomea,
I don't know if
niin
this is
seuraava
Britain.
kysymys on varmaan,
I mean, it's
että
definitely not
miten
North America.
ja milloin opiskelet. Helppo tapa on varmasti ilmoittautua suomen kielen kurssille ja sitoutua käymään kurssilla vaikka kerran 2 viikossa ja tehdä kotitehtävät.
Proprietary limited. We're in
Eli
Australia.
silloin sulla on sen selkeä
I
aika, se kurssiaika. Sä tiedät, silloin sä meet sinne kurssille, silloin sä opiskelet suomea. Mutta totta kai myös kotona täytyy tehdä jotain. Ja voi olla hyvä idea, että sä päätät jo etukäteen sen ajan,
I don't know, maybe they
milloin
do
sä
proprietary
opiskelet,
limited
milloin sä
over
teet sun
in
kotitehtävät.
NZ.
Katsot sun kalenterista itsellesi jonkun sopivan ajan, kirjoitat siihen, että suomen kielen opiskelu. Ja silloin se on sun tärkein tehtävä. Siihen päälle ei voi tulla mitään, koska se aika on jo varattu. Ja tietenkin jos et mene kurssille, jos opiskelet itsenäisesti, niin samalla tavalla sä varaat ne itsenäisen opiskelun ajat sieltä sun kalenterista ja yrität pitää niistä kiinni. Ne ajat on varattu suomen kielen opiskelulle ja se on sun tärkeä meno. Siihen päälle ei voi tulla mitään muuta. Ja jos on vaikeaa löytää semmoista aikaa, että voit opiskella rauhassa, niin mun ehdotus on esimerkiksi aikainen aamu.
Preston.
Heräät aikaisemmin
Raglan
kuin
Street, Preston.
muu
That's
perhe
a
tai,
Melbourne suburb, I think.
tai heräät vaikka tuntia aikaisemmin sellaisina päivinä, kun menet normaalisti töihin. Mutta opiskeletkin suomea tunnin. Siinä heti aamulla, ennen kuin lähdet työhön, kouluun, kaikkiin muihin päivän asioihin. Niin mun mielestä aikainen aamu on hyvä, mutta mä tiedän, että jotkut toiset on sitä mieltä, että on ihana opiskella rauhassa sitten myöhään illalla, kun ehkä muu perhe jo nukkuu ja on hiljaista ja rauhallista. Niin tuollaiset hetket kannattaa käyttää hyödyksi. On myös mahdollista, että haluat opiskella suomea vaikka työpaikalla, lounastunnilla. Tai jos on vaikka koulupäivän keskellä jotain taukoja. Ja matka kannattaa tietenkin hyödyntää. Että jos matkustat usein junalla, bussilla, autolla, kävellen, niin aina sä voit kuunnella suomea. Vaikka jotain tämmöistä podcastia kuulokkeista. Eli aikaa kyllä yleensä löytyy. Täytyy vain haluta tarpeeksi paljon ja ehkä nähdä vähän vaivaa siinä, että miettii milloin ihan tosissaan mä ehdin opiskella. No, nyt me ollaan siis selvitetty, että miksi haluat opiskella suomea.
Getting very much into motivation again. Preston. $49.94. Not bad. Gonna create special dedicated chat channels on the Discord for any of the good resources I find when I'm looking through videos. And if you're not in the Discord already, I'm gonna drop the link so you can be there. This is Suomen opettaja Terhi. Terhi, the Finnish teacher. Okay, this feels very Russian. No. This is Bezbarska is Obho Bulgarski. Isla da Bulgarski. And Hotel Bansko. Bansko. Grand Hotel Bansko. Okay. Wait, it said Grand. Well, I mean, not too bad still, but it did say Grand Hotel Bansko in Sofia. Oh, well, okay, it's a ski resort. I guess they advertise it everywhere. Sportivny magazine. Okay, будем в России. Moskva. We're in Moscow. Okay. Okay, that was easy. Meantime, I'm gonna switch over. And since we're in Moscow, I'm going to learn to curse like natives in Russian. This is another channel.
Привет, друзья! Как дела? My name is Fedor, and in this video, you will learn how to curse in
Okay, are there specific subtitles? This is a channel called, what's it called? Be Fluent in Russian. And it's another one I've never actually looked at before. But I'm going to drop the link in chat.
Russian properly. Russian curse words is like a science.
It
because
is.
there's so much to them. There's so much variety to them. And
It's
just
true.
like in
Okay, I like this
science
guy
things-
already. I like this guy already. He brings a passion to the subject that I really do appreciate. I find swearing fascinating, actually. The whole science of, there's such a diversity of ways of giving offense depending on what language you're using.
Theory, and there is practice. But today, let's look at the practical application of curse words, and the reason why it's practical is because I went through all of my chats with the native speakers over the past year and selected the best curse words that either I used or they used. So it's actual real information, real usage of natives passed down to you. And by the way, I'll be cursing in English too, so just be prepared. Number one is хули. Хули means what the fuck. Хули. Here is a screenshot right here. А то хули, мне ждать, пока он выспится?
Okay, that's actually... Yes, this is the Russian grammar that they do not teach. А то мне хули ждать, пока он выспится, что ли. So, notice where this is placed. So, you can take хули out, and it's а то мне ждать, пока он выспится. I need to wait until he wakes up or whatever, till he's done sleeping. Что ли, is, it's a question marker. It's asking for confirmation. See, one of the things about Russian swearing is you have to know where to put the stuff in the sentences. It isn't, it really, in all different languages, this is one of the fascinating things. I gotta be recording this, I think. So, this is Be Fluent in Russian, and this is an episode on Russian swearing, and I'm liking this. So here, this is the first example, and this is one of the things. This is why actually translating slang and swearing and stuff like that is not a simple matter. Because the way these things work is very different from language to language. Like in this, what he's got here is hulu, which is like, what the fuck? And here, the way it is said is, I'm gonna back it up.
Number one is хули. Хули means what the fuck. Хули. Here is a screenshot right here. А то хули, мне ждать, пока он выспится?
Yeah, and notice he actually reads it differently than it's written. Yeah, this says, а то мне хули ждать, пока он выспится, что? And he actually says, а то хули, мне ждать, пока он выспится. In both, which is to say there are two different places in the sentence that actually works. And it's more and he just sort of more naturally gravitates towards putting hule at the beginning, ata hule. But you can also put it here. See, this, if you translate this literally into English, it's like, so it is necessary what the fuck it is necessary for me what the fuck to wait while he's finishing sleeping or something, or what. Literally it doesn't make it a lot of sense. Because as in Russian, you stick these things in the middle of the sentence. In English, we tend to put them when it's an interjection, like what the fuck. We kind of stick it, at the beginning or the end of the sentence for the most part. In Russian, it often gets stuck in the middle, and there are lots of languages that do this. And so, like, learning, these are things that you notice, you get used to them as you observe. This is one thing, one of very few things that YouTube comments can be quite edifying on, I have to say. I mean, that's not to say there aren't good YouTube I will say my YouTube comments on this channel have generally been very good value. But as a whole, the genre of the YouTube comment is not exactly known for being edifying. But I mean, if you want to learn all sorts of different ways of like swearing internationally, YouTube comments are not a bad place to start. Okay, let's continue as we try to figure out what street and what part of Moscow we are in on GeoGuessr.
So, should I fucking wait until he wakes up? What the fuck? Do I need to wait until he wakes up? It's a friend of mine sent it to me because one of our past colleagues used to oversleep a lot. The context was he needed a task to be done right that second. And then he said,
see, you might be more familiar if you are a Russian learner with spat, to sleep. Выспаться. And this works actually a lot like it works almost exactly like in German. Because in German we have schlafen, to sleep, then there's ausschlafen, or sich ausschlafen. And that means to sleep all that you need to. Like to do all the sleeping that you have it in you to do. And it's the same thing that vui, you will remember probably if you know some Russian, if you've been studying it, if you speak it. Like выход, like you add that ход is like the act of like going or moving. Выход makes it to move out, right? So выспаться and ausschlafen are basically, I mean, grammatically they are structured the same way, and it literally just means you're sleeping all that you need to. You're getting all the sleep that you could possibly need.
says, а то хули, мне ждать, пока он выспится? Or, what the fuck, should I wait until he wakes up? Like that. Хули in that sense means what the fuck. Or another example, you come to a party and you see a person that you hate. You say, хули он тут делает? What the fuck is he doing here?
Yeah, notice here it's the beginning of the sentence. Хули он... And it's like huli is like a contraction because it's hui. But then li is like a question type particle, and so these things have just been combined. Huli. And if you're a Russian speaker watching this, you see what ты, который вот это смотришь. Является русскоязычным человеком, надо знать, что хули на ирландском и английском языке. На английском языке, как он говорится, в Ирландии, значит как-то тусовка. Это хули, это вот, это парти. Это вот, это как вот, где все, вот, есть куча виски, пиво, стаута, вот, лайв, музыка, вот, все, вот, все в этом роде. Хули, это, вот, хули in Irish English is a party. But на русском языке хули, это вот что-то совсем другое. Не так ли?
Хули он тут делает. Хули means what the fuck. Он тут делает, he is doing here. What the fuck is he doing here? So хули means what the fuck. Number 2 is нахуй. Нахуй means why. My friend said me this. Нахуй ты спишь в 7 утра? What the fuck are you sleeping at 7?
Yeah, and нахуй is a very, what linguists call a productive word, a productive construction. Because нахуй can mean a lot of things. Пошел ты нахуй. I mean, it's like you're telling somebody to fuck off. Una manera de decir, bueno, de mandar a alguien a la concha de su madre. ¿Me cachai? But here, nahui is like, yeah, is what the fuck for? Okay, I'm liking this guy. I'm charmed. Okay, we're opening up Russian resources as a channel now. Russian resources. And our first entry is this guy. No, not at current time. Let's copy the URL. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm enjoying this.
7 a.m. for. So this word nahuy here means what the fuck for. He wanted to play some games with me, but he is all the way in Russia. We have a huge time difference. So he asked me, "Нахуй ты спишь в 7 утра? What the fuck are you sleeping at 7 a.m. for? Wake up! Let's play the games!" So nahuy can mean what the fuck for. Another meaning of nahuy is forget it, to remove something. For example, we had
it's like fuck it.
This party kind of event, and we wanted to invite a professional services for something. And then we were like, it's kind of too expensive. I'm not sure if the birthday guy will like it. Then my friend asks, "Нахуй его?" Forget him. Forget the professional. Or what? Right? So "нахуй его" should we forget him?
Yeah.
Should we just kind of throw him out, forget about him? "Нахуй его." Like that. Another application of this meaning can be like this. Let's say you're gathering for a party and you're going through a list of items to buy for that party. Okay, let's get pizza, let's get water, some beer, let's get some juice. Нахуй сок. No, forget juice. We're gonna have water and beer, more than enough. Нахуй сок, forget juice. That's the second word, нахуй. Third is хз. It's a shortening for...
Хуй знает. Fuck knows. See, and here it's just хуй, not нахуй. Хуй. Хуй знает. Хз.
Хуй знает, which literally means dick knows, but what it means is I don't know.
Yeah.
Хз is almost always...
И вот. Если вот я русскоязычных людей, которые вот смотрят на английском, мы бы сказали fuck knows.
Always used as an abbreviation in text messages. Right here, you see on the screen right now, either I or my friend.
Да хуй знает пока. Хуй знает. Лол, хуй знает. Я хуй знает. Ну я хуй знает, а я хуй знает. А вот куда я хуй знает?
Friends use them a whole lot. Хз. And you can see this message right here.
Да, хозяйство. Хз.
Я хз. I don't know. So think of хз really as IDK. It's gonna...
Yeah, и вот. Еще раз, я русскоязычный. Это вот, как это, вот, это немножечко трудно перевести на английский язык, но я бы сказала fuck if I know. Или можно то, также сказать I'm fucked if I know. Или просто fucked if I know. Это я хз. Я хозяйство.
Going to be used in the same exact way. Хз. Я хз.
Можно сказать, если вот все, как коллектив, реально знает что-то, это колхоза. Это колхоз. Колхоз знает. Я не знаю, если вот так на самом деле говорят на русском языке. Но должны бы. Должны бы, потому что это вот забавно.
I don't fucking know. Next one is a very interesting one and such a...
I don't fucking know, это тоже допустимо.
Emotional and meaningful word. Похуй. I don't give a fuck. Похуй. It can be shortened to just пох.
Yeah, a note for non-Russian speakers. This is an important thing because, I mean, one of the things you will notice if you're a Russian learner is stress patterns are bloody complicated. I remember my Russian teacher in high school, somebody asked her, she's like, okay, is there any rule how we know how to stress these words? And she's like, no, nobody knows. It's completely unpredictable. You just have to get used to it. But one thing that is very common in these set phrases, when you have a preposition, in this case, po, or previously, na, and then it's na plus a noun or something like that, then there is a tendency to stress the na, or the po. Pohui, nahui. And see, and this is an important thing. I mean, people think that people get this idea from school that grammar is something that you have to learn, like specifically you have a grammar book, grammar exercises, and now we're going to do the subjunctive, and now we're going to learn the locative case and all this stuff. Nah, grammar's everywhere. Grammar, phonetics, every sample of a language, every sample you have, no matter what it is gonna have the grammar. It's gonna have the phonology of the language. It doesn't matter what. Совсем похуй. Совсем похуй где. It does not fucking matter where you go. It could be a video on swearing. It's gonna include. It's still the language. So it's going to include these things. It really does not matter where you start. I mean, of course, you're going to learn rather different things depending on where you're going for it. I mean, we're learning some very specific technical terminology right here for Russian. И вот на английском тоже для русскоязычных. И вот. No, but that does not change the fact that you are still learning the language. It is still the language. You can learn the language in so many ways. I learned a lot of Japanese just from watching the Japanese dub of bloody Pulp Fiction, for example. And I think we can all agree, anyone who's seen it, that is some very specific language.
My friend sent me a message like this. Но мне похуй. But I don't give a fuck. It's the same context of
Yeah, мне похуй.
that guy not waking up on time for work, and he says maybe he has some problems in his life. Но мне похуй, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and another one that works for this is пофиг. And you can use it exactly the way you use похуй here.
He needs to do his job. Но мне похуй, I don't give a fuck. That was a quick one. And guys, by the way, if you want to know more curse words, we have a whole dictionary of curse words on our Be Fluent platform, right?
Ёблывы, выёбываться, ебанат, ёбаный в рот. Ебанутый, ёбнутый, ёбар.
Here, as you can
Ёбариня.
see, there's many different lessons.
Мозгоёб. Разъебай. Пизду. До пизды. Пиздёныш.
On curse words of different stamps of them and things like that.
Okay. Charmed. Absolutely charmed. This is thoughtful. A lot of people have a very puritanical approach to teaching language. Because they think, oh, well, this isn't nice stuff to say, or maybe they're just uncomfortable saying it. See, I think you'll notice I'm not at all uncomfortable saying that shit. But, and so they don't realize, even if people perhaps don't intend to use the words, it's important to understand them. It's important to know what you're hearing. And if you don't actually understand them, and you just are sort of going by context, you may not entirely realize the nature of the beast. So, I mean, this is excellent. Okay, I'm liking this guy.
If you want to enlarge your vocabulary of curse words, check out Be Fluent with the first link in the description, and you can learn it all for free right now for 7 days with a free trial. Of course, we have other things.
Let me just check the date on this. This is a month ago. So I don't know if that's still good.
Regular courses that you can just learn regular Russian for your family and friends, learn how to talk to them properly with our Russian step-by-step course, with other things that we have on there. Check it out right now. Try it out with the first link in the description. But I urge all of you to check out the curse word.
Okay, also, very cool microphone. I like that. I like the LEDs on there. It's like a microphone straight from hell.
Course. You're gonna have a lot of fun and learn a whole lot more than in this video, okay? Check it all out with the first link in the description. Let's keep going. Next is Z.
Okay, and here we go with Huya again. Zabits to smash or beat up. To, like, beat to death? Новая коллекция Comfort and Style. Где? Улы мы находимся. Веточный рай. Пиво. Рыбка. А хули называется эта улица? Это хулица. Хуй знает. Хз. Где-то в Москве. $49.60. Ничего себе.
Забить хуй, which means to ignore something. Literally, забить хуй means to nail a dick, okay? Nail a dick to the problem. So I guess it means the same exact thing. Let's say I have a problem, and I just...
And here, just to note, in other Slavic languages, zabit literally means to kill. Bit is to, like, hit. Zabit, like this za, often mean, pretty much in every Slavic language I'm familiar with anyway, that prefix za indicates, like, doing something all the way. So...
hammer on a dick on that problem. Like, I don't give a crap about that problem anymore. And it means exactly that. When we have an issue or something, we can just забить хуй, just to ignore it. Let's say my friend is getting over his ex, and I just tell him, bratан, забей хуй. Bro, just don't even worry
It's like the opposite of putting a pin on it.
about it. Ignore it. Just forget about it. Nothing is gonna change. Just forget her. Forget this problem. Забей хуй. Or here's a message of my friend who said,
Забивает хуй на это. Yeah, he doesn't. He's saying fuck it,
yes,
basically.
забивает хуй на это. Just ignores this. The context can be anything. He has bad financials. Забивает хуй на это. He ignores that.
Yeah, we're in Britain.
He has
Lincoln
friends
is
coming
Ohio.
over. Забивает хуй на
Lincoln.
это. Ignores that. It can be any context, positive or negative,
Roma
for
flaps
the
and
better
sprouts.
of your own sake, like to not worry about your ex, or for the negative of you when you kind of ignore important things. It can be anything. Забивать хуй right here means to ignore something or to nail a dick. Next is проебаться. And before we get into...
And, yeah, проебаться. Now, pro, again, that's like fall by. It's past. So this is like literally fucking past something. Daneben ficken.
the definition, here's what ChatGPT says about this.
It means to fail, mess up, or yeah. Pro, as I said, it can mean like daneben, like past in the sense of past the target. Very informal.
The term проебаться in Russian is a vulgar slang term. It means to fail, to mess up, or lose an opportunity due to one's own mistake or negligence. In other words, to fuck up. Проебаться means to fuck up, to mess up, to miss something. Проебаться. Here's my message that I sent. У меня уроки прям подряд идут. Не хочу проебаться и пропустить звонок от банка и т.д. I have lessons back to back to back. I don't want to fuck up and miss a call from the bank, etc. So, проебаться here means to fuck up. I have lessons, I don't want to fuck up and miss a call. So, проебаться is used a whole lot to say to fuck up something. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, and this is one thing, this works in so many languages. Yeah, like, I mean, this works like the Slavic languages, Germanic languages. If you start to understand, if you pay attention to how these prefixes, like pro, here, or vorbei, aus, gegenüber, whatever, on verbs in German, or, I mean, we have them in English too. There are all sorts of little nuances that you can add with these, and you can make shit up too. You can, like, I mean, you have to be careful because sometimes you make something up because you think you're making it up, but actually it already exists and has a specific accepted meaning, and then you can run into difficulties. But, I mean, for the most part, but you can still experiment with it, because these prefixes are a big part of, like, the refined use of the language. The subtleties and stuff are often in the form of these sorts of things. And so, definitely worth paying attention to them, like this pro here. So we're someplace in bloody Lincoln. Some kind of shite industrial estate. Got a street name. I mean, we use the dual carriageway. It's probably an A road. 2 Union Jacks. Not just 1 Union Jack, but 2. Bloody hell. How many do you need? I mean, I guess at least it's on the St. George Cross. There must be a street name here someplace. Britain Road. Carholm in Western. I feel like this is probably relatively peripheral. Is there a Triton around here? Okay, let's just keep going in Triton Road though, and as we...
Balsa. I fucked up. We don't really say I fucked something up. We just simply say I fucked up, and that's it. We don't have like an object that we fuck up. So, я проебался means I fucked up. I messed up. The next word is very common.
Yeah, notice in the example sentence he used, where he's talking about I don't want to fuck up and miss the call, he says, проебаться и. So, that is the way to do it, to sort of say, to fuck up and then do the thing that you don't want to do.
Пиздеть. Пиздеть has 2 meanings. Number 1 is just to talk. It doesn't have any negative meaning to it, just a replacement of to talk. For example, my friend sent me this. Пиздим пока. I messaged him, say, hey, we have a new hire coming in. What's up with him? How was he? Was he good? Was he like polite? He responded with "Pizdim пока." We are still talking. For now, we are talking. So he was still on the phone with that guy, and he said "Pizdim пока." We're still talking. It doesn't mean that they're talking a lot, too much. It doesn't have any of those additional meanings. It's simply
Just a handy extra word.
a curse word replacement of to talk. But the second meaning, though, is to lie, to deceive somebody. For example,
To
I can
bullshit
say,
somebody.
я знаю правду.
Я знаю правду. Зачем ты мне пиздишь?
Зачем ты мне пиздишь? I know the truth. Why the fuck are you lying
Хули ты мне пиздишь? And notice, да ты не подъешь, не пиздишь.
to me? So, пиздишь here is to lie, but of course it's a curse word variation to fucking lie. Зачем ты мне пиздишь? Why
Yeah.
the fuck are you lying
Или
to me?
можно сказать, вот, и еще раз, для русскоязычных, можно тоже сказать просто, why you bullshitting me? Why are you pissing me about? Это тоже, ну, вот, как-то, это бои часто, вот это чаще встречается в Великобритании. Ну, значит, вот, пиздец, вот, в смысле врать, соврать. Why are you pissing me about?
Like that. And now you know 7 crucial curse words or phrases that natives use a whole lot, and now you can use them yourself as well. Check out a full course on curse words with this button right here, or keep on watching our YouTube videos with this next video.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Absolutely. I enjoyed this. I think this is a very good resource here. And you will find it in a channel called Russian Resources on the Discord. I try to review things on here and just point out when I find something good, also when I don't. Lincoln Trade Center. We know this road goes directly into the city center, apparently. Where the hell even? Well, there isn't a whole lot to Lincoln. So, Fork Road, Busway Academy. But it looks like hell. I'm enjoying this guy. Let's look at another one of his.
Привет, друзья!
Привет. Okay, copy. Drop the link in chat. Because this offers interesting things to talk about, and sometimes I have trouble finding this. And the nice thing about playing GeoGuessr, of course, Okay, this is a north-south road. That should help me. Major north-south road. Major as they get in bloody Lincoln, anyway. And we're headed south. South is away from the city center. So we are south of the city center. Well, here's an industrial estate. That sounds promising. These purposes. A junction would be.
Как дела? My name is Fedor, and today let's talk about how do you work on your speaking in the comfort of your own home, especially for Russian, as such a conversational language and such a speaking heavy language. How do you do that? Well, last week we've talked about listening. Right here, if you missed it, it's going to be right here. It's also a very practical skill. Speaking is an incredibly practical skill that.
And with Russian, I mean, one of the things you have to the speaking, the grammar of speaking colloquially and the grammar of reading are similar, but there's a lot to get used to, because as we noticed with Huli in particular on the last of these, stuff can get things get stuck in the middle that often are placed on the ends in other languages.
I can never give you enough theory in these videos. You have to practice it.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work for you to really see the progress in your speaking. It's like working out. I can tell you enormous amounts of theory of working out. Unless you start doing it yourself, you won't see any results. Same exact thing with speaking. We have to put in the work ourselves. So today let's talk about how do you do that in the best way. As always, you can do it yourself, by yourself, or use some resources that are already prepared for you to help you out. For the resources part, I want to recommend Be Fluent Camp. Be Fluent Camp is our 8-week intensive course that we start on July the 8th, and the speaking is the central part of our curriculum for beginner, intermediate, and advanced group.
And I would say one thing also, just to get used to Russian as spoken. I mean, there are Twitch streams in Russian. That can be quite good. I mean, especially because you got the chat, and that's also going to be in Russian, and that will give you a lot to sort of work on, even passively, because you have to internalize the way that the kinds of structures and things are. And so, I mean, if you want to get good at speaking, you do have to speak eventually. But the passive stuff matters too. So, and also like watching movies in Russian. In fact, I mean, if you check on Netflix, for example, there definitely is stuff with Russian audio on there. And often it also has Russian, and it usually, as far as I know, has Russian subtitles as well. And that can be very helpful. You can even, so, I mean, those are things that can also really kind of help get used to these special aspects of Russian.
Regardless,
as, like,
speaking is the central part. So depending on your level, you'll be challenged on different ways of speaking. For beginners, not so much, mostly just like reading stuff and making basic sentences. For intermediate, you'll be challenged to speak now, to open up your mind a bit and to speak freely. For advanced, speaking is the main thing that we do every single week. We speak 3 times. 3 times we speak out loud. So, depending on your level, you'll have a different level of intensity of speaking, and that's the best resource that I can recommend truly as Be Fluent, because that's our own intensive. I vouch personally for the quality of that work. So check it out with the first link in the description if
this
you want.
guy seems like an enjoyable teacher to have, I have to say. Hey, yes, hello, Riveroon. Yeah, I've decided, one of the nice things about GeoGuessr is it is not fast-paced at all. So I can sort of look at videos and do, recommend resources and just review stuff and comment on it as I'm playing. So this guy, this is Fyodor. He has a channel called Be Fluent in Russian. I just happened to have one of his things show up in my recommendations on Russian swearing. I dropped the link into the Discord in the Russian resources channel. I decided to start creating new channels for recommended resources as I find them. And so this is one of them.
Supercharged.
His thing on swearing was quite good. I like his style. It does a good job of actually putting the text up on the screen, which is important. He speaks clearly. And he brings an energy to it that I appreciate. How are you doing?
You're speaking and make a whole lot of progress in just 8 weeks. Check it out with the first link in the description. Campus coming up. Now, by yourself, what can you do to work on your speaking by yourself? There's a few things that you have to make sure that you have, but first, let me debunk some myths about speaking. Number one is that you can and you should practice speaking by yourself. Practice speaking just like a musician would practice their instrument.
Yeah, one thing that's quite good for this, I would say, this is something I've done basically all my life in every language that I've worked with, is to read aloud. Just a book or a magazine, whatever, it doesn't matter. Something interesting enough that you're actually interested in, and you just sit there and you read it aloud to yourself, and you just get your mouth used to wrapping itself around the sounds and things.
They don't only practice when they are on stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people, right? They practice behind closed doors.
That would be
so
terrifying.
You have to take the same exact approach for your speaking. Treat your speaking to a native as your performance, as your test, as your way to show off your skills. But you have to practice behind closed doors just by yourself, because you have to practice making sentences. You might have enough vocabulary, but if you don't make sentences quickly enough, your partner will just simply stare at you waiting for your answer.
Yeah, and one thing just to note is to be patient with yourself on this. There is a silent period. I say this a lot because it's important. People might think that, if they're not being able to sort of spam out Russian or whatever the target language is from the start, that there's something wrong. No, you have to have enough built up inside you to be able to sort of wrap yourself around it. Now, bloody Lincoln. Not very good signposting. Skellingthorpe. Oh, okay, that helps. Tritton Road, here we go. Finally. Trying to find Tritton Road for ages. Morrison's petrol station. Alford's, Tritton, okay, bloody hell. That took long enough. $49.99. Not bad at all. And that's another round. Okay, cool. So now we're just going to switch over. We're going to do videos.
Okay, it's gonna be boring. You have to do the legwork beforehand, so that does not happen.
See, I mean, yeah, to a certain extent. Yeah. But to a certain extent, that is going to come. That is going to come from the interaction. I mean, we tend to feed off each other's energy to a certain extent in interactions. And that is true when you're a learner, it's true when it's your native language, it doesn't matter. So, I mean, and native speakers for the most part will be, in my experience, reasonably patient if they're not just assholes. And understand that you're doing it as fast as you can.
So today, let's talk about that. What should you do to practice?
I love the look at
Number
this microphone.
one, select a topic. Simple enough. Select any topic that you want to talk about and go.
Yeah, I mean, okay, good advice. Good advice here. I mean, because one thing, again, compelling input, compelling, comprehensible input is a subject we come to a lot around here because it's important. And the more interested you are in the thing that you're reading about or listening to or talking about in your target language, the easier it is going to be for you to work with it. So pick a topic you actually care about.
Go for something more realistic. Don't go for something that you will never use in your regular life anyway. So go for things that you would say in your regular life. Secondly, write out a few questions to guide your thought. Write them out and maybe even think or write what you want to say. Prepare your answer. That's number 3. Prepare your answer. Think of what you want to say. Because if you only will go for things off the top of your head, it might be a bit too rusty, a bit too unprepared, a bit too...
This can be, I mean, especially, you don't have to do it in this much of a structured sort of a way. It can be quite useful in the sense of just, it helps you get used to thinking in the language. And if you're thinking in the language, that makes it that much easier to be speaking in it. Because then you don't have this mismatch between what's going on in your head and what you're trying to say. Which can be very awkward. If you're like, I mean, I've had very awkward situations myself where I'm thinking in one language and then somebody starts talking to me in a language I was not actually prepared to be spoken to in, and it takes a second because, you know, there's a mismatch going on.
Premature. But when you prepare the answer, you have the time to think, to figure out the phrases, to figure out the grammar structures. You have time. And then just speak on the spot. You have prepared your answer. Now you don't read the answer. You simply have that as the guiding for your thought.
Yeah, I mean, actually the act of writing it can help you get it firmly in your head sometimes.
But whenever you speak on the spot. Don't read, but also don't control yourself. Don't limit yourself. Just let your mind flow.
Yeah.
Whatever comes to you.
Yeah, that's good. Because, I mean, one of the things that is one of the wildest things about like language learning, about language acquisition, is that at a certain point, and sometimes it can be quite early on, if you just kind of get to the point where you can sort of where you let yourself flow, you can find yourself using all sorts of grammar that you didn't realize you had. I mean, that is something I've experienced. I think pretty much anyone who's really acquiring a language has experienced it to some extent. All of a sudden, there's just grammar coming out. You don't know how you didn't realize that you had it. You did, you'd read about it someplace, but you'd seen it used, and then suddenly it just comes right out.
Mind, just let it flow. Don't filter yourself, because you can only filter things that are in your conscious. The subconscious, you don't have access to that. So allow yourself to simply go at it, get into the flow state, and let your brain figure out how you want to communicate. We are social creatures, and so our brains have developed certain things that will help us survive socially. And so when you speak Russian, your brain will figure out how to express something, even if you don't think you know how to express it. You have
Yeah,
to.
I mean it's true, because the thing is, this is the wild thing about implicit learning, which is the process by which we acquire languages. It's implicit because we aren't aware of it going on. It's just going on all the time. It's a background process. And so you're picking up all sorts of stuff you don't realize you're picking it up. It's just happening around you, and your brain sort of like occasionally will just absorb something and say, "Wait, okay, I got that one," and then you've got it, and then but you don't realize you've got it until you use it, or either passively somebody says something and you surprise yourself by understanding it, or by you surprise yourself by saying it.
Simply get out of your way and stop controlling yourself. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about the forms of words. Whatever comes to your mind, just let it flow. Because then, when you have time, you will practice grammar. Then, when you have time, you'll practice vocabulary. But right now, it's our speaking practice and nothing else. And
Yeah, I mean, and let me just say, practicing grammar, hey, that's just bullshit. Yeah, that's not a useful way of learning. That's not how we learn grammar. We learn the most effective thing. Studies have now shown this. For acquiring grammar is pleasure reading. So whatever your target language is, find stuff that you're interested in reading and read it in your target language. Because as I was saying in that wonderful video on swearing that we were just looking at, that made me decide that this guy goes in the recommendations. The grammar is everywhere. You don't need to. We don't acquire grammar as some sort of separate thing. We acquire grammar because it is everywhere in the language. If the language is being used, the grammar is there.
the last step is repeat it. Do it over and over and over and over again. One time of speaking is not enough. 10 times is not enough. Maybe 100 times will be enough. Go over and over and over this task many times until you're comfortable speaking, because then you will notice certain things. You will notice that you are not taking pauses, that you let your mind figure it out, and that you don't translate anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and that is an important thing. That's what I was getting at with pointing out the importance of this sort of one on, practicing alone, just reading to yourself or writing to yourself, whatever, in your target language, because it helps you actually start to have the language, your target language, be what's going on in your head. The more that's the case, the more you are going to be able, the easier it's going to be for you to speak.
When you let your body and your brain kind of
going to be to
take
interact
over
and understand.
It will naturally kick in to simply making your thoughts into Russian words automatically after a certain amount of time. Maybe after 25 different exercises of.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you can't really break it down into, quantify it as exercises. It is a thing that is already kind of starting from the minute you start really exposing yourself to a language. And depending on how much of it you're doing, how much time you spend, reading your target language, listening to your target language, watching stuff in your target language, interacting with your target language, finding, bloody Twitch streams in your target language, whatever. It will be increasing, it will happen increasingly. And gradually, the more you absorb of it, the more you will be able to just mentally stay in your target language and think in it. And then, there's no filter in that sense. It isn't having to go through whatever your starting point is linguistically.
speaking. So, think of a topic, think of questions, prepare your answer, but then speak on the spot, don't limit yourself, and then repeat it. That would be my best advice if I were to start a new language. That's what I would do right now. Because we have to do the practical way. We have to learn the practical things to practice.
Okay, let's see. I got some other stuff on here. Let's see. I'm gonna just go back to my playlist. That was Be Fluent in Russian. That's Fyodor. And if you go to the Discord, you will find links to these videos and to this channel. We've also looked at a podcast called Puhutaan Suomea, Let's Speak Finnish, by Suomenopettaja Terhi, and that seemed like a pretty good thing for like listening practice and intermediate learners and stuff. Seemed like good stuff. So I've got that in the Finnish resources channel on the Discord. Good stuff. Now, I was thinking there are a couple of options. We could look at another potentially good one. We could look at something that I know is not going to be. We could look at the most petty English learning channel I've ever seen. That all they seem to do is grammar police random non-native speaking creators. I'm open. We've only really got time for one more of these. It's going to be wrapping up fairly soon. But we can also look at here's an example of one of my favorite choices of input for language learning. This is a Spanish channel that I've never heard of called Dreaming Spanish. This is another one that just showed up in my recommendations called Making Arepas with Natalia. So it's cookery. And if it's done well, then it will be showing you how it's done as it's explaining how it's done. And arepas are good. Arepas are like the northern South American, like Southern Caribbean answer to the tortilla. And it's like Colombian, Venezuelan pita bread. So that's an option. Also, another channel. This is English with M. I forgot my glasses at home. Why is this wrong? And the answer is it's not wrong. People say that all the time. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I don't know what the deal there is. I mean, so we got a couple of options. Chat, any thoughts? Any preferences? You want me to dunk on somebody who's being ridiculously petty? You want to look at something that might be potentially good? Also got interesting about the difference between saying kare no koto ga suki and kare ga suki in Japanese. And I'm kind of curious how she explains that very fine distinction. Here's a short one. We'll just start with this. This is pettiness. We're going to be laughing at the pettiness. But then maybe we'll do another one. This is English for everyone, and I do not understand the point of this channel. Because as far as I can tell, all they do is slag off other people's English. In like the most stilted, like Maupin-esque sort of way.
Hello, and welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn to avoid some important mistakes, so let's get started. First, this is not correct.
Yeah, what's not correct here is that this is not how you learn grammar. Error correction is not a useful thing. There's no evidence that it actually helps anyone learn anything. There's evidence that it discourages people even making the effort. But, like, the way people acquire grammar, once again, largely through pleasure reading, where the grammar is just right in front of you. You do not get it because some guy who looks like he's in the before picture of a Metamucil ad makes a video calling you out for your grammar.
Hey, can you pass me my mug of coffee?
Okay. Okay, are we gonna, is the idea the pronunciation here? Is that what he's gonna have? Because, I mean, that phrase isn't wrong. I mean, is he gonna say it should be coffee mug? But the thing is, mug of coffee and coffee mug are not the same thing. A mug of coffee means it actually has coffee in it. A coffee mug is a mug that you would use conventionally to drink coffee in. It's it's like, I mean, it's the same thing, like a cup of tea versus a teacup. A cup of tea's got tea in it. A teacup is intended to have tea in it.
I seared my finger. When the mug is hot and you burn your finger, you don't actually say burn. You say, I seared my finger.
Okay. Now I'm very curious, is that... I'm going to look this up, because the thing is, there is Indian English. Indian English exists. It is a variant of English. It is a very rich and interesting variant of English. It does all sorts of things. It has all sorts of vocabulary that other variants of English don't have. But, so, this may very well be the way you would say it. Seared my finger. Yeah. I mean, because, okay, usually, let me just say, if you were to say you seared your finger, seared, it does not seem to be a regional thing as far as I can tell, although it was only a quick Google search. But, like, is he going to have a go at her now? Because searing usually indicates a really extreme level of burning, where it would leave a mark? Like, okay, what's his angle gonna be on this? What is he gonna be petty about? We know he's gonna be petty, that's what he does.
Don't say I burnt my finger. Say I seared my finger.
I mean, he's not wrong that I burnt my finger is entirely correct. If that's what this is gonna be, okay, I mean, that's not wrong. Like, if you, because, again, searing is more specific. I mean, you could say that if you were saying, oh, shit, I really burned it badly. You might say you seared it, just like you might say you scalded yourself rather than you burnt yourself, to indicate it was, that it really, really, really bloody hurt. But, is that what this whole thing gonna be?
This is not correct. Say I burnt my finger. Don't say I seared my finger.
Like, this is how the entire bloody channel is. Like, even though I actually tend to agree with him on this, like, why are you calling somebody out like this?
Burnt is way more common. Let's hear some examples.
Yeah, I mean, again, not wrong. He's absolutely not wrong here, but I mean, just...
Yuka, one bread for you. Yes, sir. You okay? You want to keep going?
Burnt my fingers, man.
Is that toothpaste?
Yeah, it's an ancient Chinese remedy for burnt fingers.
He burned his hand real bad.
Wait, okay, you've made your point.
On the car's radiator.
Well,
but I mean, if you look up I looked up seared my finger, and yeah, I mean, people say that too. It just indicates a higher intensity of the burn for the most part when people say that.
But it burned his hand when he grabbed it.
Burned his hand, looked like it burned his stomach, too.
My husband, he burned his finger, ma'am.
Boy burned his hand by touching an electric wire.
So what is sear?
Was that the paper chase just now? Is that John Houseman?
Sear is when you burn something so bad that you change the texture. You change the texture.
Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, this is, you can't get this, see, she was being very prescriptive about it and also not quite correct, but, you can't just say you can't say this. Like, people do not people will say, I seared my finger. I looked it up. People in English speakers, will say, I seared my finger. It didn't necessarily mean that it changed the texture. It meant they just burnt it really badly. Especially on, like, a pan, like when you pan sear stuff.
Texture of the flesh, that's seared. And it's most commonly used with meat. When you cook meat, we say seared. Seared beef.
Like, I mean, if you were saying that you burnt your finger really badly, like, if the point of that video was to bring in synonyms to, like, spice up your English or something like that, I can see her saying that, although I still don't think saying don't say burnt is good. I don't think these, like, don't say this, say that videos are actually all that helpful for the most part. I mean, but, okay.
Beef, seared steak, seared fish. Let's hear some examples.
Just throw it on the grill, sear it. Fantastic.
Put it in the iron pot, sealed with lard or cooking oil, Joe.
No. Think of seared cod.
It's fabulous, isn't it? Dimitri, this is the best seared beef I've ever tasted.
You're serving seared tuna.
So I can...
Yeah, I mean, but these examples do not encompass the entire universe of to sear, though. Because searing can also be used. I mean, one of the best ways to test these things out. Because really, the real test of language is, I mean, especially if you're not a native speaker and you're trying to get an idea what is, like, normal, common usage. I mean, Googling a phrase in quotes is not a bad idea. Because then you can get an idea just how often people are saying it. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's strictly prescriptively correct all the time, but you can at the least get an idea whether people are, in fact, using the language the way you were thinking of using it, which is a helpful thing. And people definitely will use sear to describe an accidental burn if it's bad.
Say, I seared the steak in the pan, or
Yeah, but you could also say, when I was, like, trying to, flip the steak in the pan, I slipped and I seared my finger on the pan, and you would not be wrong.
Seared the steak in the oil.
You could also say that you burnt it. You could also say you burnt it there. Searing is a more specific usage and indicates that it's a worse burn.
Pronunciation. Seared. Use the ear sound like beer and near. Sear. Plus the D sound. Seared. The steak was seared in the pan.
I mean, like, this is just the most... It is the anal retentiveness hour.
Steak was seared in oil. Let's practice. Was the steak seared in the pan?
Yes. But my finger was also seared in the pan. It added flavor.
That's right. The steak was seared in the pan.
These are such unexciting example sentences. Like, you're going to use example sentences which, as a way of sort of internalizing vocabulary. Don't do it this way. Make the sentences interesting. Make them memorable. Make them funny. Make them weird. Like, I mean, come up with just wild shit and use that as your example. Not, did you sear this steak? Was this steak seared in a pan? Похуй! Не похуй! Не похуй! I don't give a fuck.
The idea
Nobody
is you
will
cook
remember
the
that
steak
shit.
and you change the texture of the flesh, of the meat. That's seared. Let's practice. Was the steak
Seared rhymes with neck, beard.
seared in oil?
No, it was seared in my own personal fat. As during the heat death of the universe.
That's right. The steak was seared in oil. So if you
His beard is like off-center too.
touch a hot mug, you don't sear your finger, you burn your finger.
Oh, fuck off. Yeah, except if you wanted to be colorful in your use of language, you might say you seared it. Like, she's not wrong to use the term But to the extent she's saying that you should, like, never say, I burnt my finger on my teacup or whatever, then, I mean, that's wrong. But, I mean, somebody could say, I seared it, say I really charred my finger on there, and it's just an exaggeration that people do, colloquially. It's colorful speech.
This is also not correct.
What's that finger pointing at?
I burned my tongue. I singed my tongue.
I mean, again, you can say both of those things. The latter is more colorful than the former. They're neither of them strictly wrong.
You don't actually say burned, you say singed. I singed my tongue.
I mean, also, I don't think you can singe something strictly on a hot liquid, because a hot liquid is not going to produce that kind of burn. Singeing usually suggests some charring is going on. But I mean, metaphorically, in colorful speech, yeah, you could totally use it. But it's not wrong to say, I burned my tongue.
Don't say I burnt my tongue. Say I singed my tongue.
He's experiencing disbelief.
This is not correct. Say I...
This is not correct.
burnt my tongue.
The English for everyone drinking game, you really could not use "this is not correct" as one of your triggers, because you would end up in fulminant liver failure. But I'm noticing it is time to wrap up for today. Thanks to everyone who joined in. Thank you, River Rune, Milka, and everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be if you missed anything, I'm going to be clipping it over the next couple of days and put some of the better stuff into the YouTube channel, which you're on right now if you're watching this, so I don't need to give you the link for that. You've already got it. And also, do check the Discord. Nightbot is giving the wrong Discord link. Let me give you the correct one in case you're not already in there. And I'm creating these new channels in there that are just like recommended resources and stuff. And I've got the first entries in there from today. And so I will be back tomorrow on Twitch at 4:30 p.m. US Eastern Time. And I hope to see you there.